What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode number 111 of Park to Prem here with Towel Town. Today we are going to be taking on Norwich City, a team who I feel like we have a little bit of history with. I feel like there's a little bit of Towel or Norwich beef going on, and well, today it's 5th versus 6th. Yes, this has suddenly become a game that if you were to look at the start of a save game, you probably wouldn't think that ourselves taking on Norwich would be this really important match with us fighting for Europe. But the way that things have played out in this save game, Norwich are a very good team. I mean, you can just see if we look here at their history, they've had a bit of a rocky spell as of late, but they did go for an extended period of consistently finishing in the top half and did have a few seasons in Europe. You can see Abel Ruiz, a player who we are a little bit familiar with, is their key player. He's very, very good, isn't he? Yeah, I wish he's actually extremely good. How does he compare to Shvetsov? Let's just get into a little bit of a measuring contest, shall we? Who is bigger? Let's have a look. I mean, I think Ruiz might win, which I'm not a massive fan of, although he's a bit older. Shvetsov's still got room to grow, I suppose. But yeah, it's going to be a big game here. You can see, interesting enough, David Wagner's their manager, of course. In real life, they've got Daniel Farke, who's, I guess, followed a similar career path to how Wagner got introduced to English football as a German, joining in the second tier. And well, he's now ended up at Norwich, who are currently 6th and were predicted to finish 10th. So yeah, it's a big one. Anyway, you'll note that we are in the month of January, so you might sit there wondering, Jack, what's happening? Well, first and foremost, we had a little bit of an increase to our wage budget, which is nice. Obviously, we had loads of transfer budget, and we had loads of wage budget going into this January transfer window, and I was wondering, how are we going to spend it? So you might sit there wondering, Jack, how are you going to spend it? And the simple answer to that is, if I just hide inactive deals, I'm not spending it. I might live to regret this. I've had a look for centre-backs, and genuinely, I don't think there's anything that's going to be an upgrade for us right now, and I'm relatively happy with the overall squad balance, how everything's going. You'll see here that Cece's actually gone out on loan, just because I want to keep him playing regular first-team football, so he's currently playing for Crystal Palace in the Premier League, where he's already started fairly well for them. I think he got an assist on his debut. But on the whole, besides Cece going out on loan, I've not changed anything. And some people are going to probably think that that's mental, but I just feel like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, as a whole, as a collective, we are performing really, really well as a team. And I don't feel like £40 million on a player who might be an upgrade is really worth a risk, which might sound bizarre, but I don't know. I had looked at players, to be clear. It's not that we haven't scouted anyone or looked at anyone. One player who I did look at one point was Mateus Aurelio here. He plays for Sao Paulo. Absolutely nuts. He can play as a right wing back. It would open up the opportunity to potentially move Lazarus down the middle. He has a release clause of, well, he did have a release clause that we triggered. Have they removed his release clause? No. He has a minimum release clause of £22 million, you can see here. I triggered it, and then he asked for 150 grand a week, and I told him jog on. And now, the fact that at 21 years old, he's still playing in Brazil, it almost makes sense. It's almost as if he's priced himself out of a move to Europe. Looks incredible. We might keep an eye on him. In the centre-back department, I have been looking for centre-backs. I really have been. I mean, we'll have a quick look here. If I just position centre-backs, Football Manager, you can load this. There's only 53,000 players to load at the moment. But yeah, if we go to just centre-back here and sort by ability, I have been scouting players. I have been looking at them. Jose Armando, I quite like the look of, but I can't realistically afford him. I mean, you can see here, they want £130 million. We're in this weird point where I would love to sign a really kind of top-quality, world-class centre-back. That player doesn't really exist. Another player who I did look at was this guy, Dominic, who looks pretty good. He's playing for Frankfurt, who, interestingly, they've been relegated down to the second tier of Germany. They have Haaland as a striker for them in the second division. I mean, that's a fall from grace, isn't it? Did look at the possibility of signing him, but he is 31 years old, soon to be 32. Doesn't feel like a wise spending of our money. But yeah, I have been looking around. There's just no one around there, and I just feel like, why should I and why would I spend money for the sake of it if I'm not certain it's an upgrade? And that's kind of the mentality I'm currently sat with. Of course, it's a week till the transfer window closes. Knowing my luck, I will probably panic away and sign someone last minute who turns out to be rubbish. But for now, feeling relatively calm and relatively good about things. You can see here GCL is unfortunately out with an injury for today's game, but the rest of the team is pretty much free to be selected. And of course, we have played a few games since you were last here, so I'll tell you now, it's been a very hectic couple of months. Of course, last episode we ended the month of December with 2 superb wins, 2 clean sheets in one episode. I don't know if that's ever happened before here at Town Law. 2 3-0 wins, of course. And since then, a little bit of a mixed bag. We've played 6 matches, only 3 of those have been in the league, and we've come away with 7 points, which, to be honest, is very, very good. And the first of those games was Crystal Palace away, where Volta, as you can see here, sent off after 26 minutes. You absolute wazzock. It was one of those typical Football Manager tackles where the player decided to go for the waist of the opposition with like a scissor tackle. He was off, but we came through it. And, well, in this game, we were playing a man down for the best part of it, really. Timothy Weah got them ahead with a near-post finish. In the second half, didn't really change anything. The way we adapted with the sending off was just not to play without a centre-attacking mid, to kind of play a 5-3-2, I suppose, or a 4-3-2, I should say. Anyway, Turnbull got a nice finish at the near post, and then, well, Lazarus just launched an absolute missile of a throw. It looped into space, it came down out of orbit, landed at Shvetsov's feet, and he volleyed it home. 2-1 it finished. That felt like a very significant result. Meanwhile, in the FA Cup, which I'm pleased to report we are still in, we played a semi-rotated team away from home against Macclesfield and drew 4-4. It was shocking. This is what made me loan out CC. It wasn't even him. I just needed a scapegoat. So he left, but the good news is, as you can see, we did win the replay. Between the 2 Macclesfield games, though, we had a draw against West Ham. Weird game, this one. They scored from the penalty spot early on. And with about in the 85th minute, I was like thinking about making some tactical changes. And I made some. And then before they took effect, Shvetsov scores. And I'm sat there thinking, do I want to go more attacking like I've selected before he scored, or do we just stick with what we're doing? And I decided to stick with what we were doing, and within 2 minutes, we'd conceded again, this time for a set piece. Khan Julien getting the goal. 2-1, that sat until the 92nd minute, and who came to the rescue? It was only Charlie Brown. Superb ball through by Lazarus. Twice in a row he's bailed us out with last-minute goals in the league. And, well, a lovely little finish in the end. So, yeah, 2-2 that finished, and then, as you can see, we've beaten both Macclesfield and Reading to find ourselves in the FA Cup 5th round, where we've been drawn against Brighton, who currently sits 17th in the Premier League. That feels like a pretty good draw to me. I feel like the FA Cup is maybe something to focus on this year. Anyway, most recently we took on Sheffield United. I thought this was going to be a bore draw. I felt like it was destined to finish 0-0. In the end, Andre got a goal for us. He actually scored once in the 92nd minute, and it was disallowed for offside. It was a free kick whipped in. Eventually, we got another opportunity, and he scored another set piece. He was just lurking around. He's not particularly amazing in the air, Andre, but he just finds himself in the right place at the right time. And, well, 3 points at Bramall Lane makes me feel very, very good about where we sit right now. We are 1 point behind Liverpool. Granted, we have played, this extra game over them. Worth noting, Norwich are actually trailing us by 5 points here, so a win today would be really, really huge. Next episode, by the way, we are going to be playing Liverpool. We're going to do Liverpool and Newcastle United as a double header. Kind of that north-east rivalry, but also Liverpool who, well, they currently sit in 4th, and as I've already mentioned, we're breathing down their necks. Their form has been iffy, our form has been solid. That feels interesting, especially if we can maintain the interest in it. Of course, knowing my luck, we'll now lose the next couple of games, and suddenly we'll be trailing Liverpool by a significant amount. But either way, we will be back for that game, because last time we played Liverpool, it was a bit of a classic, finishing 3-2. In terms of the team for today's game, we played a game just 2 days ago, so a few tired legs out there, but we've rested everyone as best we could. GCL, unfortunately, out injured, as we've already talked about, so Volta, I'm forgiving him. He's going to get another chance. Please don't get sent off this time. That's all I really ask. Just don't tackle anyone. You've got 8 tackling. Have I got him set to tackle harder? No, I haven't. You see, I have taken it off a few more positions. I think, actually, the only players who tackle harder on now are our centre mids and our centre backs. Just because I wanted to keep things simple. Anyway, up top, we're going to go with Turnbull and Shvetsov. Shvetsov and Turnbull have not wowed me this year. Charlie Brown has kind of been a bit of a wild card for us that's felt very necessary in games. Very frequently, we've struggled to break teams down, and when that's happened, it's been one of those who's made way. But anyway, let's get into today's game. I believe we beat Norwich 4-2 last time we played them, so I'm expecting a good result. You can see they've got Guendouzi in their team, Jack Clark as well. How old is Guendouzi? 32. Looks very, very solid as well. At centre-back, they've got Rudon, who... Did he play for Swansea, I want to say? Swansea player? Yeah, Swansea player. They signed him for 42 million. That feels like silly money. to me. I mean, I wouldn't spend my £42 million currently in my transfer budget on him, although maybe he was slightly better way back then. But the rest of their team is good. They've also got a proper goalkeeper, 33 years old, Alatay Bayindir. That's not how you say his name. I just struggle with names, folks. I see letters in combinations I've never seen before. My brain just melts. Anyway, let's get into the game, shall we? Hoping for a big result. Carrow Road, a stadium that I'm pretty familiar with. I have family from Norwich, so I've been to my fair share of games at the stadium. And, well, I'm hoping that we're going to, well, be able to beat them today. Of course, we're playing at home today, not Carrow Road. I don't know why I've brought Carrow Road. Nice stadium, but I wonder if are they still playing at Carrow Road in this save game? Now I'm interested. They are. I was going to say they can't have expanded it much, and they haven't, which is bizarre, really. You'd think, given their long-sustained success, they would have got a new stadium. As, oh my word, we'll take that. We will take that. Shvetsov is given an assist. His header was on target, I suppose. The keeper didn't hold on to it. 2 minutes gone. It's a dream start, and it's another one of our long throws. Look at that by Ox into the box. Shvetsov heads it. Did that hit the woodwork or the keeper? I think it hit the keeper, because the goal line technology apparently says it wasn't a goal. But it did eventually find its way over the line, courtesy of Turnbull. And, well, that's going to help the team relax, I hope. The long throws have definitely been, a new string added to our bow, I suppose. It's a new form of attack, and we have really made use of it this year. Anyway, Maggi called into some defensive action. Gets it away to Andre, my favourite. I'm now not meant to say that, but he's a favourite. Highland now launches it forward. Volta, not known for his finishing. Can he finish that? No, he couldn't finish his bloody breakfast, that boy. He always leaves a little bit of milk in the bottom of his bowl. Who leaves milk in their bowl of cereal? If you don't drink that, just go full on cannibal. Hold your bowl with both hands and drink that milk. Don't be like Volta. I think he has 8 finishing. It kind of showed there, didn't it? That's a chance he has to score. It's interesting with him because he makes these incredible runs through. He finds himself in so much space because he's so pacey, he's so quick. And then more often than not, that happens, and I just feel a bit upset about people who don't finish the milk in their cereal. Anyway, we've got a set piece to defend here. Hull whipping it back post. That was not far away, was it? Morrigan didn't even move. He was confident it was going over. Highlights galore, though. We're not done yet, everyone. We are not done yet. Maggi playing out from the back to Andre. What's he going to do now? He's going to launch it to Turnbull, who uses his pace. Can he get in? 20 aggression. 20. I never thought aggression was important in a striker, but I'm sure if you've been watching the series, you've noticed Dylan Turnbull just slide tackles in for stuff that no one else slides in for. If that goal's scored against me, I'm livid, but because it's been scored in our favour, it's all about the 20 aggression. That is definitely a thing, right? I'm not going crazy. Dylan Turnbull does finish a lot of goals like that, where it's like a 50-50 ball and he just seems to get there through anger. I don't think let me know. Do your strikers do that in your game? I feel like only Turnbull does it for me. Shvetsov definitely doesn't. We find ourselves 2 goals up at the break. We could be about to go 8 points clear of the team directly behind us. Now, worth noting, there are a few teams who are going to look to pounce on Norwich slipping up here, potentially. As we have another long throw launched in. Dealt with initially this time, although still with Ox in the wide area. Players queuing up. He skips past 1. He skips past 2. He launches in. Turnbull, have a hat-trick, my friend. Throw him your cap. Is anyone in the crowd wearing a hat? I'm now looking. It's like, where's Wally? They're not. He's got a hat-trick, but no one's throwing him a hat. I wish it was more like ice hockey. If you don't know, in ice hockey, if a player scores 3 goals, everyone throws hats onto the rink. That should be a thing in football. People should be made to get a hat and then throw it out. If you were wondering, most stadiums, you can go and get your hat at the end of the game as well. And if you don't claim it, it just goes to charities more often than not. What a great cause. That should be a thing in football. I'm going to start campaigning for it. Anyway, Ox has picked up an injury. I don't have a left-back on the bench naturally, although Keeney here can play there. Not particularly convincingly, but his best position is left-back, so he'll make it work for us. I've been a bit excitable today, so I've not really made any changes. You know what? I'm going to move Andre to advanced kind of playmaker, or not advanced playmaker, but the more attacking midfielder. And I'm going to bring in Matatovic at centre mid. I was half tempted to bring in Charlie Brown, but for once our strikers have actually been performing. We could be about to have a third 3-0 in a live com in a row. Is there something that happens for that? I feel like that there should be something of significance that occurs. Right, I don't want any more goals scored and no more conceded, please, lads. Just keep it at this. Keep it at this, Douglas, you naughty boy. Stop tackling people. I mean, it's going to be another 3-0. There's just no highlights to end the game. What a result that is. That is absolutely massive. We took our opportunities that came our way. Did Norwich have a chance in that game? I don't recall seeing a highlight for Norwich. I might be just having selective memory. I think they headed once over. You can see Liverpool haven't played yet. And with that result, we go ahead of them. Right, well, we have to... I assume Liverpool are going to play this weekend. So with that in mind, we'll have to check it out. Ox is out for 5 to 6 days, so he's probably not going to be available for our next game. Dylan, you beautiful, beautiful man with your 20 aggression. Look at him. Look at him. It's an unusual polygon, isn't it? Right, let's just have a look. Who are Liverpool playing? I'm very excited now. You might be able to hear it in my voice. Today is definitely one of those episodes where I'm coming in just a bit excitable. I have them sometimes. I think it's just the fantastic form. We're in 4th. We're in blooming 4th. I mean, of course I should be excited. It's good that you know that I'm excited, I feel like. I feel like that helps a lot. Anyway, you can see here, Glamini. I think it was Glamini. I asked yesterday and I've already forgotten. I wanted to loan him to Crewe. He has got a work permit now. I thought, we've got Crewe as an affiliate, by the way. Just because I wanted a lower league club in England to loan players to. And they were the only team that were thrown up in the Football League. I got a load of non-league teams, but actually a League One club kind of fits us quite nicely. And Crewe have good training facilities as well, which is nice. But yeah, you can see we've got a few players who I'm just trying to ship them off to Crewe really to hopefully get them some regular first team football. I have just noticed that their manager is Bruma, the Portuguese winger. Interestingly enough, Gonzalez has gone on loan to League One. He's very good for League One. He's probably a little bit better than League One. Where are Crewe now? I feel like we need to have a new segment called Crewe Watch. They're currently in 18th. Let's see if he can keep them up. I think it might be a bit of a stretch for him to carry them all the way to the playoffs. Worth noting, a few familiar names here. Blaine Neal, of course, our Northern Irish youngster. But actually, looking through some of these names, a few throwbacks. You might remember Jim Steinke from York. He's been at York his whole career. I remember this guy. We played him a load of years ago. You might remember. You can see he still just banged goals for them every single year, bar 1 year where he wasn't quite at it. I mean, that's rather impressive, isn't it? Also, Michael Howe. You might remember many episodes ago now. We're talking maybe... I want to say 30 episodes ago, I talked about this guy looking like a very good prospect, and I was interested in potentially signing him. He broke his leg, and then he kind of fell off my radar, and as you can see, he's had a lot of more serious injuries since, so perhaps a bullet dodge there. Anyway, if Arsenal could slip up to Aston Villa, that would help us out quite a bit. Can you do us a favour, Villa? Can you do us a favour? Do it for me. Do it for her. I don't know who her is. Sandra. Do it for Sandra. We're at that tension-building point of the season now where I'm kind of looking at every result because they kind of do matter. I say that like it's near the end of the year. It's blooming January. You can see a Tottenham won. That's a shame. Arsenal won. Yeah, okay, all the results that could have gone our way didn't. Although Chelsea did lose to Watford. And by the way, Watford with Smolio in goal, who's requested a transfer recently. He's not a happy bunny, folks. Asking price of 36 million. A lot of teams queued up. If one of them does sign him, we would get £18 million of that deal if he went for the asking price. That sounds pretty good to me. Someone asked me a couple of days ago, Jack, do you regret selling Smolio for £8 million? And the simple answer is, not really, because I know that we've got this 50% sell-on clause, and also, we sold him for £8 million and then were able to loan him back for 2 years. And £8 million at the time was just ridiculous money. It was unheard of money. And, we reinvested it and we wouldn't be where we are now if it wasn't for that sale. McCassie's still playing for Amiens regularly. I could actually recall this guy, but I'm not going to because he's done so well on his loan. I kind of want to train him to play wing-back, but the more I'm looking at him, the more I'm thinking, maybe we just turn him into an absolute murderous centre-mid. Maybe. I don't know. I quite like the deep-line playmaker sitting between our two centre-backs. I think that interaction works really nicely in our system. I know a lot of people have been hounding me saying, Jack, you should play with 3 centre-backs. I mean, respectfully disagree, but I do really like the way Highland does come deep to get the ball because he has got the player-preferred move, comes deep to get the ball. He will just drop in and, sit between the 2 centre-backs. And he's only 21. I kind of forget that Highland's only 21. He's had a very, very good year. Not quite as good as his year in the Championship, but he really is that link-up man from defence to attack. Unfortunately, Liverpool have won, so all this waiting around has resulted in disappointment. They win 3-1, so they do go back ahead of us. We're back into 5th, back to a crushing reality. You can see Norwich trailing us now by 8 points. They're currently sat in 8th, so I mean, the chances for European football are looking relatively good at this moment in time. Of course, next episode could be quite critical in that push, with both Liverpool and our local rivals Newcastle, who we've not got the best history against. We don't do well against Newcastle normally. We drew against them in Sunny Best's friendly, and then earlier on this year, we drew against them 2-2 again. So I'm half expecting a 2-2. We'll find out. We're at home, should be winnable. We've got Villa and West Brom in between, two teams who we really should be expecting to win at this point. And of course, this double-header tomorrow is pretty blooming massive. So hopefully I'll see you guys for it. But anyway, guys, that is going to wrap up everything from me today. Thank you so much for your support on this series. As always, you guys are absolute legends. If you have enjoyed today's video, do drop a like on it. Check out the merch store, link down in the description. And I will see you on the next one. It's me, Jack, and I'm out.